So you've been working with your OpenClaw after a month and still can't remember anything. Okay, the memory is broken. You tried plugin, you try a different solution, still not working. Okay, there is a reason why, and and the reason is you. So let me explain what's going on. So there are a lot of different memory solution for OpenClaw. Some are better than others. Some are, and they are really user specific. Okay, in some scenario you prefer one than another. But there is also the memory system that apparently nobody is managing to use it properly. And the point here is understand what's going on. So there are some elements when you set up OpenClaw, for some reason, not everything gets set up properly. So some component are missing, and therefore the AI is not working. So there is, for example, the need of a database for storing this memory. There's a need of an LLM that run locally that goes there and check and retrieve this data. There's a need of putting this data correctly inside this database. So there is a lot of work to do in the background. And if not configured properly, it's not going to work. What's the problem? Sometimes, for example, everything is there. Okay, you create your memory. The memory is there, but then the retrieval doesn't work. So why it doesn't work is because the LLM that is going there is not powerful enough. So it doesn't understand fully what to get, or it go in timeout. It doesn't have enough time actually to grab the data that is required. Or the data is too big and that doesn't have enough memory to actually hold this data. And crazy enough, your OpenClaw is not going to tell you. It's just not going to tell you. It's just going to say, I don't remember. I don't remember we did this. I can't remember this. What are you talking about? That is the scenario. Okay, it doesn't tell you, look, let me do a diagnostic on my system and let me see if there is something that is not working properly because I have no idea what you're talking about. That would be better, but it doesn't do it. So you need to do it. So the first thing you need to do is run a diagnostic and let me know if the memory system is working properly. And most likely is not. Okay, that is the truth. But that is the first step. And again, as every single video that I do, there is a deep dive article link in the description that you can just give to your AI. I mean, you should read it. Let's start from this point. The article is for human, and you should read it. But you can give it to your AI agents to understand the problem and can help you out. Because there are some settings, specific settings that I want to share with you, and they are specific to the memory system that I'm building. But before we go into the memory system that I'm building, I want you to reflect a little bit on the memory, because there are a lot of different elements that we need to somehow understand in a philosophical way. In the sense, this AI, the memory of an AI, also define the intelligence and the identity of this AI. So starting from an AI that doesn't even know what is doing, what is running on. For example, when you install OpenClaw, then you connect an API. The little LLM that is running inside doesn't have a clue of what's going on. Okay, so it doesn't have the awareness needed to understand the architecture, understanding who you are, understanding a lot of things. There are a few elements that have been presented by OpenClaw itself. So when you register, you remember you did the soul of the AI and so on. And so he has the user as well. So he has a few elements that help this AI to understand what's happening in its world. But let me tell you, those are not enough. Enough for a little chat. Enough if you want to carry on doing, what you've been doing on ChatGPT. Okay, but if you want to do something much deeper, you need to give deeper knowledge. So let's start by understanding this thing. So the quality of the data of the memory really changed the way that the AI can think, because more AI knows, better the output is going to be connected to your specific reality. And then there is another element to consider is, let's say this is not the memory package, but it's all the information here. So now what the AI pay attention to can change the output. So think about, for example, a movie. Okay, AI is watching this movie, but then there is a lot of internal story, plot twist, elements, and so on. So maybe AI is not paying the correct attention to what is relevant for you. Let's say that you are a director of photography. So for you, the color of the picture is really, really important. Okay, see the contrast, see the color scheme, see the difference between the clothing and the background, see all those elements. Okay, how many different color palette is being used in the shot. That is your attention. No AI is gonna pay any attention to that part, okay, unless you tell it. So the AI, what would do, will say, okay, this is the story, and you talk about the characters, remember the names, remember the story. Then you ask what kind of color palette they were using, how many colors were being included in this movie. No idea. Has no idea because he didn't pay attention. Okay, the data was there but was not captured. So that changed everything. So understanding what to capture is also important. Now, I resolve this by creating specific, I call them memory log. They run every 3 hours. And if there is no memory added, if nothing happens, the memory log doesn't get created. But every 3 hours, they run and they check what the work has been doing and collect exactly the data that is important. Okay, usually what is important for us is, of course, a kind of understanding what we've been talking about. So an overview. But then understanding the decision we make and why we made those decisions. So it's not just enough to say, for example, in ChatGPT, when you work, okay, they save something. Okay, what they save, this is your job, this is what the color you like, this is the food, your favorite food, this is the book that you've been reading. So they record facts. Okay, important, the basic. Okay, so now they have facts about you. Basically, they're being how do you say, profiling you. Okay, so but anyway, they have now those facts about you, and they can use it to help you with your reasoning. So they remember where you went last summer for holidays and so on. But to do a much higher level of reasoning, what is important is to understand why you're thinking that way. Why did you go on holiday there? Why you like that kind of food? Why did you watch that book? Why you didn't like something? Okay, why you, I don't know, you tried to learn the guitar and you failed. Okay, why that happened? So the elements that needs to be saved is not just the facts, a list of facts, but also the reasoning behind and the wins and failure, the scars, everything. Okay, through that kind of attention, then it's possible to do much higher reasoning. And how do we do this? Okay, we create something that is not included in OpenClaw. We need to create a specific memory log. Okay, we need to save things in the way that we think is correct. So in the system that I'm building called the ResonantOS, like I said, there is this for every 3 hours there is this creation of the memory log. Memory log, what you can do is, of course, you can customize it, but what it does, like I said, there is a sort of overview of what we've been working, this is decision made, why we made those decisions, and so on. The mistake made, the error made, all those things that actually help AI to improve. Because once AI has started to collect a list of things that were wrong, okay, which is a lot, okay, a list of bad decisions, then now AI has this in the memory. Okay, that was a bad decision, I shouldn't do it again. It start collecting all those elements. Now, connected to the memory log, there is elements that we can do. Okay, now that we know that there are some bad decisions, so basically not following a protocol or not having a protocol for that kind of a scenario, now there is another function that can run, for example, at night and check and look for those kind of mistakes and then say, okay, these keep happening, let's create a protocol so this doesn't happen again. So the AI doesn't get lost in whatever kind of process, but the AI is going to know exactly what to do in that specific case. That is how we can turn memory into knowledge and turn an AI that actually improve itself. So these kind of elements, that AI start to capture, define also the identity of this AI. So there is, of course, the model itself define an identity because it has a specific behavior. Okay, some people prefer Opus 4.6 than ChatGPT 4.5. Okay, whatever. So there is this 5.4. That's the number. So there is this idea of each model has its own way of talking, and you feel more comfortable because it has, I don't know, whatever kind of behavior. Each one has its own, and there is a moment that the one is better than another. They keep evolving and so on. Okay, but this is a kind of that is the engine identity. Now, to this engine identity, we can change it through the system prompt, so the identity, the soul, all those documents that tell AI how to behave. So we can start shaping the identity. Now, with memory and those protocols, we can actually really direct this identity. So the constructing this architecture needed to give AI an identity through memory, through protocols, is extremely important. So sometimes when AI is telling you, I don't remember, it's most of the time it's not configured properly. Another problem here is that it didn't pay attention. Okay, so have those two things in mind. Not configured, so the memory is not working, because the memory is there. Okay, even in OpenClaude, the default system, there is a memory. Okay, if configured properly, there is no problems in the memory. It's not advanced, it's not precise, it doesn't do amazing stuff, but it has memory. And but if you want specific elements to be captured, then you need to architect them. Okay, and that is the memory log system that I created for inside ResonantOS. But this is the long-term memory. So what's happening in the working memory? So what is happening there when you are working in that moment? AI needs to have the awareness, the data, the memory needed to actually do the thinking. So there is the need of retrieving the right data that is done through the RAG. Basically, there is this database where AI goes there and grabs the information they needed and bring inside the working memory. So now they get injected there and start working. But because the RAG is as a sort of a complex interface where there is, first of all, the need to find the right data, okay, is already difficult. There's maybe you have months of data, and now you need to find the right one. But maybe about that topic you've been talking about today, a week ago, and 3 months ago. So which one is more relevant? That will require a sort of intelligence. And let's say that he grabbed something for 3 months ago and is missing the one from that are more recent. Now you have a memory and AI that remember the thing but remember the wrong stuff. So all that thing is really left to a sort of chance, because you're not managing, you trust the AI to do the right thing. And while you can say, yes, I mean, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But let's say you configure everything properly, and you can say most of the time it does the right thing. But most of the time it's not enough. Okay, on a high level work, if you want to do something seriously, most of the time it's not good enough. So how do we get to have an AI that actually has inside the context window, the working memory, the right information? I created, this is again inside the ResonantOS, which is free to get and so on. I'm going to explain this, but it's open source for you to try and test it. Actually, it's better than open source because you own it. The moment you get it, you start to own it. But let me explain how this thing works. It's called R awareness. Okay, resonant awareness. This R awareness, what it does, inject the data inside the working memory, so the AI actually know what is working on. So this, what is going to inject, is going to inject like the .md files, basically a document inside the working memory. And let's say, for example, you start working on your business plan. The moment that you type or say with a voice, business plan, that is the keyword. Okay, that is the keyword, the trigger, the R awareness to inject the specific document inside the working memory. Okay, those documents are called the SSOTs, single source of truth. So they get injected. Those documents, of course, you and your AI need to take care about, because you need to keep them updated. Okay, if something changes after this discussion, you maybe make some decision. The AI needs to update this document. So the document is the single source of truth. It's always updated, and by taking care about this document, you always know that the AI is fully aware about what's going on. So now think about when you start injecting these elements, everything changes. So the quality of the output is much, much better because it's connected to the reality, okay, to the single source of truth. Now, to work properly, this AI needs a lot of other elements, okay? So let's understand the problem that we have with the working memory. So the working memory has the system prompt inside, the workspace, and then the raw data, okay? That is, the raw data is your chat. Inside the chat, there is also tool calling and all the things that AI is doing in the background. So there is a lot of information there, but you also need to have a system that actually summarize this memory, because what is happening when you start chatting, this memory go longer and longer. Okay, at one point there are all limit selected to the model, okay, all limited selected by OpenClaw, or you're gonna pay an insane amount of token just because your memory is super big. So I think, if I'm not wrong, there is something like for 1 million token, some model have like a $15-20 or more for as an exchange. So you have this massive window, 1 million token, let's say. Okay, now you send it to the AI, $25. The AI send you back the $25. Then you send it $25. Can you understand that there is a problem there? So those are I'm rough. This is not the correct numbers, okay? But because there is a different price between when it goes and when they come back. But this idea needs to be clear, that every single interaction, even if you add one single word, will be 1 million plus one word, okay, sent. That is the problem. So what the OpenClaw does, what a lot of models they do, at one point, OpenClaw does a 200,000 token. What it does, it grab the context window and compress it into a summary. Okay, now you have not the raw data anymore, now you have a summary. Okay, that summary plus a little bit of raw data, but the most recent one. But that summary, it's the quality of the summary is extremely important, because again, if that summary is not done properly, so you didn't pay attention to the right thing, then the summary just collects data that for you is useless. Plus, a summary is always lossy. Okay, always gonna lose some information, because otherwise it wouldn't be no summary. Okay, so that thing means now you lost a lot of data, and now with that little data, now AI needs to reason. Okay, extremely complicated. Now, you see again the importance of those SSOTs, because they stay inside the context window. So the truth remain there. Now, what is being compacting is part of the memory, part of the work. And those compaction is not great. Okay, the OpenClaw compaction is not great. So a lot of people are struggling with that part, because they really doesn't remember, okay? Because information has been taken away. So what is the solution to this is to change the system. So in the past, I changed it and I called it R memory, okay, resonant memory. And it was amazing. Then they fixed the OpenClaw again, and they broke my R memory. So then when I was about to fix my R memory, there was a kind of a beautiful way of managing this memory, because it would have this intelligence of collecting the correct thing, but at the same time it was pretty complex. But when they fixed it, they basically, what they've done with the OpenClaw, now instead of basically connecting to the memory system that was already inside the OpenClaw and try to change it and make it work for you, now they have plugins. Okay, this is beautiful. So you install these plugins, you create or you install, if you find it, or in my case it would be the R memory plugin. I create my software into a plugin, and now that plugin changes So remove the compaction memory of OpenClaw, I would add this my specific plugin. So while I was doing this, I discovered a plugin that actually was really interesting. So while I was working on building mine, I decided to use it. I'm looking on my phone because I'm looking for the name, because these people deserve be quoted if I found them. And I think it's called engineering something. So I'm gonna spend it's called the LCM, okay, the project, which is a lossless Claude Memory. And I can't find right now the name of, so I apologize for these people, but the good news is that it's inside the deep dive article, so you can find the name of what they do and so on. So there is it's actually the well-known group of developers that do AI. I really want to find it. So okay, I'm not able to find it, but okay, so but it's called everything inside the deep dive article. So what they did was something amazing. Okay, what they did is decide, okay, let's use summaries, but let's use summaries that can actually connect to the raw data. So a summary get created but get connected to the raw data through whatever code, whatever tags, let's say. But they create a summary that can actually do layers of summaries. So unless you configure correctly, again, in the deep dive article, I'll give you the correct configuration. It doesn't go deeper. What it does, it just have a summary. But if you correct properly, what it does, it can go in layer of summary. So at one point, a summary, when it becomes bigger, can summarize again. And instead of being ejected, it remain inside. But so you have a summary of a summary. So a kind of a memory that get lost smaller and smaller with time. But the beautiful of this system is that the memory, the AI is capable of navigating this maze of summaries, and then go back to the raw data if needed and grab it back and bring it inside the working memory. In this way, you have a memory of what's going on, okay, there, present, but the ability of AI of actually capturing, bringing back the completely raw data needed to actually fully understand something. And that is beautiful. But for me, it was not enough. So I added another element that is connected to what I explained earlier about these memory logs. Think about if you can have inside the context window, like the headers of those of the latest 20 memory logs. That means could be a few days up to a week, let's say, of memory. So AI will have a kind of high precision. I mean, it's high precision. It's always what was a high precision versus low precision. Okay, let's say he's gonna have some memory of what he's been working on, but through your lens. This is the big difference, okay? While all these other memories, we don't control the way they collect data, through the memory log, we decide what kind of data we want to pay attention to. Okay, so this means that it doesn't occupy a lot of space. So the memory log get injected inside this context window. So what's happened when you start a new session? I mean, first of all, you never need to start a new session. Understand this thing. You never need to start a new session because the memory system doesn't do compaction anymore. Everything works smoothly, and the context window stay pretty short, so it's not even expensive to run. But let's say you start a new session because you need or you want. What you get is this memory log get injected. So AI doesn't start by don't remember anything. So there are, at the end, with this system, we have several levels of memory. Okay, each one of them do something different. But together, they create a really solid system that actually can remember in the way that you want the AI to remember. And so hopefully this is clear. So you design what to remember, but AI also have all the others, okay? All the others are there. If configured properly, all the other memory are there. So we have 4 layers. The RAG memory through OpenClaw is already there. If configured properly, otherwise it doesn't work. Then we have this LCM, the open source, those engineering something. Okay, they do summaries of summaries, and they go layers of summaries. Okay, which they can go and grab the raw data. Then we have the SSOTs, meaning those memory that get injected inside the working memory. Now the AI knows exactly your business plan, know exactly your project, know exactly whatever you want to work on. Okay, and then we have the curated memory logs. In this way, we have precisely collected the data that we want. So by default, this memory log collects, like I said, those elements of overview, the things that didn't work, the decision made, why we made the decision, what was done wrongly, the mistakes made, and so on, that part. But there is also some space for saving data that can be used for training AI. What do I mean by this? In the future, okay, each one of us will need to have an AI that is trained on your own data. So to do it, we need a lot of data. So the work that that this AI memory is doing is start collecting quality data for the training. Even though you don't know what is this training is going to look like, what is important, okay, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know now. What you need to do now is to collect it. So getting this knowledge month after month, okay, maybe you do it in a year, 2 years, 3 years, whenever, okay, but you start collecting an insane amount of important data that on the hard drive is nothing, okay, it's a really little space, but for the impact that this can do to your life, to your work, is insane. Okay, having an AI that fully understands you, okay, fully understand how you like to work, your taste, your the way that you make decisions, the way that you think, in the fine-tuning process, meaning is biased towards understanding you, okay, and working the way that you want, instead of what we have now, all those LLMs that, at least to me, okay, they never want to do what I ask them to do, which is insane. Okay, I'm not asking for something crazy. Let's understand this part. I'm not asking for something crazy. I'm just asking to do something in the way that I want to be done. Okay, and those AI always resist to it, lie. So they say, yes, I did it, but they didn't. Okay, so all that thing can be sorted with fine-tuned model, but require a lot of data. So let's start collecting this now. Now, if first of all, if you've been until now, please like and subscribe. We need to grow this channel. Second, if you're interested to this Resonant OS, let me explain how it works. Earlier I said that it's better than open source because when you register with the Resonant OS, you become co-owner of it. Okay, that's the license that is connected. It's called a symbiotic license. So this license allows you to own it. Big difference. Why you own it? Because we are building a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. So everything that we build together, okay, so this Resonant OS for now, it's owned by the community. So we can contribute and build it together. That is the idea. Okay, so now there is a community of over 600, over 600, I can't remember the number, over 600 people, of people that are using Resonant OS and building and discussing, have ideas and brainstorming and interested to build these, not just the Resonant OS, but also the DAO. This is the big thing that I'm building, okay? The DAO is a community of communities, a community of businesses, a community of individuals, community of entrepreneurs, creatives, thinkers, and so on. Building together It's a completely new business model, and I find it extremely exciting. I'm not going to explain now because there are other videos, but also other articles that explain this. But we have the community on Discord, so you should join, and so you can join and discuss and so on. But on Wednesday, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central European Time, we have a community call. Okay, so you can join and we can discuss. You can introduce yourself and see how you can be part of this community. Now, again, I don't want to go inside the business model, but at the same time, I want you to understand. So I'm gonna try to be quick. Okay, so we are going towards a direction where the world, with through automation, through AI, through robots, and through the incentive for those corporations to remove any humans from the workforce and replace with AI and robots and so on. We are going into a direction that is pretty unknown, let's say, to be positive. Okay, we're going towards the unknown. And no one is preparing for that unknown. You hear those narratives and say, yeah, AI is gonna replace human, but then human gonna find another kind of a job. Okay, so is it replacing human or not replacing human? Because that is not clear. Okay, they say the AI is gonna replace human on everything, but then human gonna find a job that. I mean, that's the logic. Okay, so it's completely. There's no logic there. Okay, if AI is going to replace human, it's going to replace human. Done. Okay, sorted. That's the thing. Now, what we are doing with this now, we're using AI to build the alternative. Okay, so we use AI, the power of AI, the collective intelligence, the vision of building something different, a reality where we are. We still, let's say, in power, in control, and we still participate in contributing. We are building that future. Okay, so there are people with that building the opposite. Let's say, okay, this automation. We are not against the AI. Okay, but we want to stay sovereign. We want to build an alternative where we can still enjoy life and not be there hoping that people give us money so we can survive. So if you like this, the positive idea, if you like the positive idea of building an alternative, please, okay, join us. Okay, we need people like you, and if you stay until now, if you're watching this moment, okay, means you are one of those. Okay, you're one of those that can change the world. So let's do this together, and watch the next video, like, subscribe, comment, all those things, because are needed to make this channel grow, this community grow, and thanks a lot.